Good morning another time. Very delighted to be with you today to talk about all what we see in the video. Let's go back 10 minutes on this video. What we show is a short video which was produced by a young man, Joe Bush, 10 years or 12 years ago, to talk about transformation in the society and the world since the beginning. From the Big Bang, passing by the apparition of living cells, world war, civilization, strike, strife, crisis, and all others. The first thing that I want to share with you today is that transformation is part of our society, is part of our world. We are living in transformation since the beginning. We never stop. Transformation in our society, in our world, is part of our DNA. Transformation is a continuous process and an uninterrupted process. Our brain is very lazy. He doesn't accept transformation, but transformation is part of our life and we are living with before, now, and tomorrow. That is the first thing. Let's have something to share with you in order to advance in this presentation. I have to share with you a question. What is for you the most important invention ever in the world since the beginning? Some ideas? Fire, no, it's not an invention, it's a discovery. The most important invention ever is the wheel. Yes. Why? Because the wheel has transformed our society deeply from the beginning. The wheel opened doors of mechanization, of transformation, of the changed way of human practices. This is a more important invention in the world of today, in two fields mainly. The first one is transport. It is the foundation of transportation route up to date. And the second thing is agriculture, animal traction, irrigation, and automation of agriculture. Agriculture, it was the base of our economy, of our development, of the evolution of the society, human society, since the beginning. And you can ask me a small other question. The human space, Homo sapiens, appears 200,000 years BC. And the wheel was invented in 3,500 BC. You can ask me why we are waiting all this time. For two reasons mainly. The first one is we don't have the need to have transportation, to have mobility, to have an evolution and evolving of human practices. And the second thing, very important is that wheel is not only cylindric, round, with turning around it. We have to find a solid metal to link the two wheels in order to transport, in order to move the mass. And for do that, we are waiting the Neolithic. That's why humans are waiting all this time in order to be sure that we can have a usage of this wheel. The second conclusion for this information is that humans have to practices, and practices lead innovation and not the opposite. The second thing is we must have a human practices, a human group that uses technology to develop some usage. If you can move a little bit where we can have a small freeze, a small lapse time in order to show you how all the innovations in the world was practices. We have a lot of periods, but the more important thing to share with you is that in the last 100 years, we have more innovation and events than the 10,000 years before. In 100 years, we produce amount of data never done before. We are living an acceleration of the elapsed time of transformation. This elapsed time, we can have just one look on one period, which is period, is the period of revolution. We have 4 revolutions. The first one, you remember, it was in 1765, and based on massive extraction of coal, of water, and the steam engine with cook. The first time that we have a new mean to develop industry instead of agriculture. Remember that agriculture was the heart of the economy, and now we have a new thing. It's agriculture because we have some kind of automatization, and we have a new urban and industrial society. This is very, very new. 100 years after, we have the new revolution, which is the mass production, based on other energy, in gas, in oil, in electricity, and we have the invention of the combustion engine. And other thing which is important with this part of the evolution is that you have the mass production with Ford and you can have, it is the invention of automobile and plane, and the 40s with the beginning of the new mass production. 100 years after, we have a new evolution, which is automated technological production with nuclear energy as a base of this evolution, but also telecommunication, informatics, nanotechnology, and other things that has happened. And we have the first time that robots are introduced in the economy. This 3 period, we have each time 100 elapsed time between each industrial revolution. But the last one, that's what I live in now, it is a new digital production. It's based on new technology with artificial intelligence, blockchain, data, big data, data war, and other things. It is new revolution. The main thing that it is based on data. If you remember that the first revolution are based on energy, water, oil, gas, and nuclear energy, but the last one, the energy is data. That is a main game changer in this to have this change for shaping the future. There is 2 symbols of this evolution. 2 symbols that change the paradigm of the society. Paradigm that of consumption, paradigm of economy production, paradigm of the behavior of our clients. But it was based in 2 main symbols. The first one is internet, and second one is the mobile. We have nearly 5 billion people will use internet in 2022. 5 billion people. We are 2 months ago, I think we are reached the 8 billion people in the world. More than 60% of these people are using internet, mobile internet. This is a huge evolution of the society, of the way what we consume, what we conception, the way we reflect, the way why we do economy, the way why we interact between each other with the economy, the virtual one, replace the physical one. We are living a new evolution of the society based in these 2 symbols. Before we have the wheel, now we have internet and mobile internet, we can say, because each one of us has mobile and internet in the same support. 10 years ago, we were only 2 billion people who are using smartphone and internet. 10 years ago, we have an increase in 10% by year since 2012. 10% increasing each year. That shows us that we are living a period which is more and more and more accelerated. This period is based on 2 phenomena. The first one is that the conception, the way we are producing value is different. Value is a new capital, but we are living in a way that services, instead of industry, are a very strong way to develop economy and to develop also societies, enterprises. The operation of the GAFA, for example, BRTX, is based on data and these 2 symbols of economy. But what is the patterns transformation of the enterprises? We have a lot of things to talk about that, but you can start by the pathology of to be data-driven. As I said to you, data is the heart of economy now, and to be developing in some fields, we have to think about how to value our data. It's not to storage data in our fridge on our house, but how to use data to develop some usages, how to develop data to develop some competency, how use data to develop some new fields of economy. That is the basis that we have now to think about each time that we are looking for transformation of our society, of our enterprises, or our mind to consumer. But we have the first thing that we have becoming data-driven emergency. Why? Because the first companies in the world are data-centered, are data-based. We have the GAFA, we have a lot of things of our society, we have a lot of industry in automobile, in planes, in industry, agriculture, biotechnology, nanotechnology. All these fields and patterns are based mainly in data. But to be data-driven, we have 2 things to think about. The crises are now part of our life. We are not at the time that crises are successful, but they are juxtaposed now, because we have a lot of crises that not open, stand, and close. For example, when we have 2 years ago or 3 years ago, the crisis of Gilets jaunes in France, for example, before that this crisis we stop it, we have the COVID-19 that appears. And before that the crisis of COVID-19 stops, we have the war between Russian and Ukrainian. You know that each time we have a crisis, and we have to live with and to adapt our manner to reflect technology, economy, and organization. For example, we did this some in the youth army 10, 12 years ago, they invented a new concept which is named VUCA, volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. We are living in a VUCA world all the time, and we have also to adapt our way to transform the economy and our society. And we have a new geopolitical enhancement of concurrences between and competition between states, not only between enterprises. For AI, for example, artificial intelligence, the most important investment in the world are shared between the United States and China. This is 80% of the capital investment in these fields. Europe is only 4%. France is only 1%. This is a huge competition in the world in that time. The second thing that is very important to transform is that we are living now a new barriers in the economy, behavior barriers, competencies. We are living with a society which is a lot of things is speeding to a way to consumer. All consumers now want to consume at a what? Anytime, anywhere, any device. We have to adapt the way that we are offering the services, the way that we are offering merchandises, the way we are supporting our clients. It's not just a barrier, technical barrier. Technical barriers is not a barrier. Each one of us, you can have API, you can cloud, you can have blockchain. Technology is now is a commodity. It's not something which is difficult to have. But technology have to be adapted in our usage, adapted to our behavior, adapted to our clients. Technology is something which has helped development. It's not a goal in same. To develop all this data, we are reflected in some with my two co-authors, Pejman Gouari and Jean Barrère, to talk about what is the fields, what is the axis of development, data-driven society and organization. We are looking for a lot of things, but we are reflecting to say that we have to need a global vision of the pillars that we can allow us to have a good invention and good reflex and a good idea to link the axis between them. We reflect to have nine pillars. We can have 10 pillars, but we have 9 pillars now because I will explain you why. The 9 pillars, the first thing is sometimes we are looking for one pillar, data, technology, decision, or talents. Each time that we're reflecting on one pillar, we fail on our organization. How to succeed and why to fail is that we don't have a systemic connection with all these pillars. We don't have a connection and a correlation between all pillars. We cannot invest only in data without have strategy. We cannot look for a great maker without have a decision process which is linked in data. We cannot have talents if we don't have a culture that allow us to have this idea to develop our business and correlation between all the axes. First of all, it is culture. Very important. If you don't have a great culture to englobe all what we have to do, it's not very important to go ahead. Because culture, what we call business principle in some companies, it's very important. But business principle can allow that people, that collaborators, that clients, and all the society understand what is the aim of our society. If you have a great culture, we can develop a lot of access. If you can invest in data, why you invest in data? For which value? Because all enterprises have a lot of data, but what value we can have around the data? To have data, we need technology. Then we can have something new to link the data with investment in technology that allow us to consume this data, to have API, to have a lot of things in order to consume and to expose some information. And we need talents. Very important. The talents is raw material that you can have in our society. Talents is what we need to develop our transformation. With talent, we can go ahead. And a lot of things about technology is linked to the velocity. Velocity is linked to the VUCA world that you are living for. We cannot have some idea on strategy which is fixed for 9 years. It's not important. It's not interesting, and it's not realistic because each time you have some crisis and you have to be agile in order to adapt our technology to our society. And we have to need makers. Which are the makers? Makers are not leaders. Makers are not managers. Makers are someone, guys or women, we are with a great idea in the future. We are giving us an idea for the target to reach. makers have someone who is giving the society, the organization, a great idea of the future for 5 years, 10 years, or for 20 years. These makers can allow us to have a great way to have a strategy adapted to the evolution of the society, and which we link the 9 pillars. We can have a vision of the maturity of each axis. That maturity allows us to invest on the axis that is in lack, the axis that is responding to some society, to some idea of the future, how product, which client, and which market. Because the first thing that you do now is to think about the future in order to be sure that the investment that you are doing in our axis is good for the future. No future without radical transformation is very important, but after conclusion, I have to share with you something. It's someone that the future is not somewhere we go, but just somewhere we create with talent, with you, with people, with technology also, but the 9 pillars are connected to be sure that you are in the future connected to have the same thing to do, and thank you very much.